Hey, welcome back. We have a very special guest with us this morning. We have Mike Haney. He is our fire expert here on hand. And with Christmas decorations, I feel like sometimes we hear of these big mistakes that people make, right? That turn the best time of the year into a very hard part. And so let's just start off by talking about what are some of the most common causes of holiday-related fires?
Sure. This time of year, everyone's decorating, cooking, gathering around. Some of the most common things and issues we see this time of year are really unattended cooking. So maybe you start cooking some food and you're running around the craziness of the holidays. You know, you have a cooking fire. That's very, very common. People decorating with Christmas lights. You know, a lot of times they'll plug too many into the same outlet, causing fires, things like that. Space heaters are another big one.
And so when it comes to lights, is there a way to inspect those to make sure it doesn't cause a fire?
Sure. I mean, a good rule of thumb is when you're pulling them out, a lot of times they're all wound up together. You got to pull them out. Are there any wires that are frayed, bulbs that are broken? And then one big thing I would do is before you start actually hanging them up on your house, plug them in to check to see is it flipping any breakers, is it causing any issues, are they overheating? Those are all some common things I would check.
Awesome. Is there really a big difference between artificial or real trees when it comes to what's more flammable, or are they both just flammable?
Yeah, I don't know how people always arguing what's better. The artificial trees are kind of flame retardant, so they're designed to not catch fire as easily as like a dry real tree. However, I wouldn't put it to the test. You know, if you got something like, I always unplug my lights every night before I go to bed. It only takes once, you know, so better safe than sorry.
That's good advice because I always keep mine plugged in because I like to wake up to
I
the
do
lights.
like the light. It is nice.
Okay, so that is a good tip because I feel like a lot of times, you know, people go to bed at different times, maybe they forget, but that's something important, especially when leaving the house, right?
Sure.
And so is it possible to tell, you were talking about outlets, extension cords, if it is overloaded? How can people tell that? Is there kind of a rule of thumb of how many things you can have plugged in at a time?
Well, most of us aren't certified electricians, you know, but some common things when you touch, let's say an extension cord, is it warm to the touch? If it's getting really warm, that's an indicator that could be overheating. Another one is you don't want to, you'll see people daisy chain things, which means plugging extension cords into extension cords. That's kind of a dangerous habit to have. Is it flipping breakers? Is it making lights flicker? Things like that are all things you kind of want to check.
What is something that's just like simple that everybody can do that just would help them drastically reduce their risk of a fire this holiday?
So big things are don't leave heat sources unattended, whether that be a space heater, whether you're cooking, like I said, unplugging your lights at the end of the night. Candles are another one. People like those scented candles, right?
I'm guilty of a lot of these things.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I got home last night. My wife had it. And I was like, oh, there's a candle. How long was that burning? You know, I mean, luckily it was a new candle, but it only takes once. So don't leave those things unattended. Double check before hanging things up, things like that.
It kind of feels like the biggest thing that people can do is just slow down, check their surroundings, and like take the time to take those extra steps. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the holiday rush. So there's something about a 3-foot rule.
Yes.
Can you explain that and why that should be a priority when decorating?
Sure. That's a good, just safe practice. So a lot of times it's very uncommon. I don't know about you guys. I use supplemental heat, like a space heater. One of my daughters will even use a hairdryer to blow up at her to keep her warm while she's doing makeup and stuff, right? So you want to make sure that there's at least 3 feet because something like a couch or a tree or whatever it may be, if it's too close, that heat gets it, it ignites, your house is on fire before you know it.
And if a small fire does break out, I guess what's the first thing that a homeowner should do?
Well, so what I would do first of all is if we're a family, I'm getting my family out of the house quickly. You want everyone to be safe. At that point, pick up the phone, call 911, get the appropriate firefighters, authorities there to come help make sure that everything's taken care of. Maybe if it's a small fire in the kitchen and you have a fire extinguisher handy, you can utilize that to put it out quickly. But aside from that, I would just get out, call 911, leave it to the professionals.
Do you think it's important to have fire extinguishers on hand during the holiday season?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you might want to check those too because those have dates and things on it that you need to check. You could buy some at some of your local big box retailers if you need to.
Well, great advice this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to stick around because coming up again at 8, we'll hear from him some more on some more helpful tips. Now we're going to send it over to Danny for a check of the forecast.